Oh,
Okay, Kristen, looks like we're on.
Mute it on Zoom or
Right there on the YouTube page, bottom of the screen. Click it.
like that?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Or else
And
you can
now,
go eventually.
how do I get back to,
The bottom of the screen.
oh, duh.
So we're live on YouTube now too, I take it. Sweet.
Yes, so we are now on YouTube. So hang on, let Matt in because he is subbing for Cheryl today. She is off today. So Matt Steck is filling in. So I'm going to admit him and then we can go ahead and start because he is the note taker and the roll call person. So as soon as Matt's audio connects, we are good to go.
Is the note taker redundant because we're recording it on YouTube? We're trying to throw that out.
All right, Matt, you good?
I'm here.
Okay. All right, Jody, we can start.
Okay. All right, well, welcome everybody and congratulations on us all successful on the Zoom call. So Matt, if you would please call roll.
Yes, all right. Jody, you're here.
Here.
Right. All right, is Cal here?
Cal's and Cal Bowers, yes. I think I said yes or Kale last time. So you're saying Cal Bowers, yes, present.
Okay. All right, Jeff.
Here.
All right, Linda.
Here.
All right, Brian.
Here.
All right, Kale.
Here.
All right, Monique.
here.
All right, Phil
Here.
and Robin.
Here.
All right, Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, next item is minutes of the previous meeting, which you had in your packet that was sent. We'll take just a minute to review those minutes, which were actually from the June meeting, as we did not meet in July or August. Any discussion or otherwise motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
That was Jeff.
I will second that.
Robin with a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, minutes from June are approved. Next item is chairperson's report, which is me. So again, welcome everyone and thank you for your efforts to get on the Zoom call tonight. Next item is old business. Kristen, otherwise any old business?
I am not aware of any old business.
Okay. New business. First thing in your package, you have the second quarter fee waivers, which we will need to approve. As you can see, there's a little bit of a differential as Kristen has provided from 2019 to the same quarter in 2020.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, a COVID impact there in terms of not very many things going on or being able to be used. So we clearly did not have to waive as many fees.
Any questions or anything for Kristen on the fee waivers? Otherwise, we need a motion to approve.
So moved.
That was Cal Bowers. Second,
Second.
Jeff Crawford. All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, fee waiver is approved. Second thing is we have a new fee associated with AV use and setup that is an addition. Kristen is going to provide some additional information to an update to this before we discuss and move from there. So Kristen, do you want to?
Sure, yeah. So, and we have two newer members, and we are actually going to do our orientation tomorrow outside. The COVID thing has kind of delayed us in doing that. But so the way things are structured with the city is as new fees need to be approved by you as the park board and then go to council. But the way that it's written is that fees need to be approved by the board in September to go to council in October, and then also come to you in February and be approved in March. And so that's why, and obviously the timing is good as we start to look at our budget. So clearly for heading into 2021, even though we probably do need to raise some fees, we just do not feel comfortable doing that with everything that's going on. And people economically. However, one thing that we did want to look at that just has come up recently as we're finishing up the new building in City Park, the Veterans Building, and adding a whole new sound and AV and state-of-the-art technology, is that we would like to add a fee for folks if they want to use that service. A lot of people rent the buildings and don't need that. However, there's obviously additional staff time for us, wear and tear on equipment and all of that. So the amendment that I want to make is that, and I apologize because I got sent this and I just I did not look at this as closely as I should have. We are not recommending adding a fee for any of the buildings for the AV setup and usage except for the Veterans Building. We do have some of those services in our other buildings, but for the most part, it's more just we have a screen and you bring in all your own technology. There is a sound system in the banquet room at the Simpson Building, but we have not charged for that. It's pretty self-contained. Doesn't take a whole lot of effort on our staff part to get that set up. So with the new Veterans Building, we're in the process of getting that contract ready to go and get all that put in. We met there in June. You guys all saw that. There's screens everywhere. There's going to be connectivity from the large room to the smaller rooms. So we have some people who are renting the whole building. They would be able to be showing something in the large room and the folks in the smaller room be able to see that. State-of-the-art sound system, wireless mics, microphones, all of that is going to be obviously some more setup on our staff part and obviously the expense of putting that in and maintaining it and dealing with that every time. So as I said, some people will rent the rooms and not need that, but if they do want that, that is an extra service. Our fee for renting the building is very reasonable. And this is pretty standard that you'll find in buildings like that. In fact, the sound engineer that was in there mentioned something and suggested a much higher rate, which we just didn't feel comfortable with. So of what he's seen around in some of the places where he has installed equipment like this. So anyway, that's sort of the long and the short of it. But again, it would just be for the Veterans Building, and that would be per room. However, as you're aware, in the Veterans Building, the smaller rooms down the hall can be one large or two small. If you rented the whole building, that would be counted as one room. If that makes sense, we wouldn't count that as two. So does that, any other questions on my long-winded explanation on that?
I think it's reasonable on my end. I think it's appropriate. I have no problem with that.
Same.
Can you remind us what the room rental fee is roughly, just in comparison?
I don't have that in front of me, Kale. If you want, and I don't want to tell you wrong, and I can't zoom out of this, but you can go to our website and look that up, because honestly, I don't want to tell you wrong, and we have the rates for all of our different rentals. Somebody wants to pull that up real quick and throw that out there. A lot of it depends on the block that you pick, and so on.
Kristen, what was the question?
Kale asked what is the rental rate for the rooms?
It would
I don't-
really, it would depend upon how long they would get it and which room they would be looking at. It would just depend on the 4-hour, 8-hour, all-day rental.
Correct. Yeah, there's different options for that.
I would,
Matt, do you have
I
that
would,
in front of
Yeah, do you want me to list off everything?
you? Yeah, I just a couple examples of what it was.
Sure.
It is.
The Veterans Atrium, which is the largest room, the 4-hour block for residents is 400, non-residents 425, 8-hour block, residents 675, non-residents 700. And then the all-day rental residents 850, and then non-residents 875. For one of the individual smaller rooms, 4 hours, residents 180, non-residents 205, 8 hours, residents 300, non-residents 325, all-day resident 525, non-resident 550, and then the combining of the two rooms, 4-hour resident 300, non-resident 325, 8 hours, resident 525, non-resident 550, and then all day resident 700, non-resident 725.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Kristen or additional information for the group? Or discussion? Okay, so since this is a new fee, we would need a motion for approval or otherwise.
I move to approve the $100 fee.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the $100 fee as for just the Veterans Building spaces. Do we have a second?
Second.
Oh, goodness. Okay, Phil Square lit up first on my screen. I don't know what that means. So Jeff with the motion and the second by Phil Simmons. I don't know. It's kind of like Hollywood Squares or something.
Circle gets a square.
Circle gets a square. Okay, so that was Phil Simmons with the second. Okay, all those in favor, aye.
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 All opposed? Same sign. Okay, so motion for the fee waiver as stated there passes. Thank you. Next item is Parks and Rec Foundation report, which is me, except that I was not in attendance at the last foundation meeting because that was the first day of professional development for the teachers. So that was like jumping into the middle of the hurricane. However, I do know that your extremely important wine and cheese event, non-event COVID version did come out in the mail. So I would encourage you, the PayPal link for supporting the foundation through that event this year is super easy, took less than 2 minutes. So if you are so inclined to provide support there. And then Kristen, is there anything else from, we haven't met that yet this month because this is one of the months where the meetings are actually out of order. So we have foundation on Monday prior to, or after the Parks Board meeting, which doesn't happen very often. So anything else, Kristen, that?
Correct. Not really. Most of the Zoom meeting last month, which for the foundation trustees was quite interesting. But they did it, so that was great, and we could see everybody. Was mostly kind of discussing wine and cheese and getting the letters ready to go and those sorts of things. So not really a whole lot to update besides that, and obviously echoing what Jody said, you know, very important. Even though we can't have the event, clearly the need is there, and more so than even in prior years. So we'd appreciate foundation would appreciate your support for that, and hopefully I think before we had last year's date on there, maybe that was the foundation packet, but so plan on the 4th Friday in September in 2021, please. I think
Can
we
you,
should,
can you repeat that there is a mailing that has gone out or is in the process of going out? I'm not sure if I've seen it yet.
it did go out, but it went out via USPS, so.
All right. Snail mail
I
is what you're telling me.
Yes, I received mine Monday at my house, so.
Yeah.
Should be coming anytime. And I'll make sure, Cal, that you and Brian got added to the list, but I think you probably would have been on there already, but I
Gotcha.
will double check.
I might recommend maybe sending it off into either JPEG or PDF format to the board, because I'd like to pass it on to obviously connects that I have.
Right, yeah, perfect.
And it's a nice reminder for me as well to be able to, as Ms. Chair Anderson said, use your PayPal account. It's easy to do.
Yes.
Even though old football guy like me can do that, but I would appreciate if you wouldn't mind sending that out digitally.
Great. Yes. Yep. I'll send that out tomorrow. Either I or Cheryl will. Cheryl will be back tomorrow. Yay.
Thank you, Kristen. Well, item 9 is actually you anyway, because it's the director's report. So.
All right. Well, very briefly, I know I talked on incessantly in June because we hadn't been together about all of the COVID things, and just, all of the shutdown and then coming back and emerging. And Ivan and Chris are on the call, so they can certainly talk about, and they will, under their areas of, we are doing programming within the protocols. Community center has obviously been open for a while. Our buildings are being rented. Shelters are open. So pretty much everything is open in the COVID way, I guess, following all the guidelines and then our own procedures, with the exception of, I mentioned this before, and we will not do this anytime soon, is water fountains. We're not going to turn the water fountains on. So for obvious reasons, the water bottle fillers you can for sure use, but we're not going to turn water fountains on. So a couple of things. So in terms of project updates, the new building, the new veterans building, is pretty much done, except the sound system and the sound panels, and all that do need to go in. That is sort of in process with getting the company to come in and get that done. Carter Park Shelter project, the old shelters have now been torn down. I believe when we last met in June, I said they were going to be within the next week or so, but those have now been removed. And so we have the kit. We are awaiting scheduling with Public Works because they're very generously going to help put the concrete pad down. So that may happen this fall yet, or we may have to wait till the spring, but we will proceed with that. It's been really nice. We've had several cross-country meets out at Carter Park this fall with our local middle school and high school, Go Bobcats. So throughout that area, and it's changed their course just a little bit. Not really just the fact that those shelters aren't there has been a little weird for them, but we'll have the new larger user-friendly, not having structural issues shelter in as soon as we can. Let's see, a couple other updates here, looking at my notes. So we have had a few rentals so far in the Veterans Building. In fact, I had some people comment, they drove by the 2 Friday nights ago and there was a rental. They were like, wow, there's something going on there. The parking lot's full. And that was nice to see. So a church group rented it out for one of their groups, and were just ecstatic in terms of sent an email on Monday about how much they enjoyed using the space and have already rented it again for another upcoming event. So that was definitely good to hear. A week ago Monday, we put a new sculpture in Simpson Garden Park. If you haven't had the chance to go out there and check it out, it is on loan. It probably will be a permanent loan. It is back in the Healing Garden, so back by the entrance by the hospital, very close to Jeff's dad's place. It it was done by Gail Christofferson. Some of you might recognize that name. She is the glass artist who helped with the mosaic glass that's up at the community center. And she's done classes for youth and adults for us for years. And so she used her COVID time to work on this sculpture. And as I said, has loaned that to us. It's very, very colorful. It's a big disc shape. Really kind of a cool addition there to that part of the park. So we're excited to have that. She just got me some information on like a write-up on the piece itself and a bio on her. So we'll be sending that out. But if you have not seen that, use that as an excuse to go out and take a nice walk in this beautiful weather in Simpson Garden Park. So we're excited to have that. The Adirondack chairs that I know you all got a flyer on that we are doing is a little bit of a fundraiser for the foundation, but also to get the chairs that we need for the patio at the Veterans Building. Those 12 chairs arrived yesterday at about 1 o'clock. And I went out today to check on them, take a picture. And Nancy Spence, actually from our foundation trustees, and a friend of hers were sitting there socially distant using the chair. So that was really cool. That there is an opportunity for folks, and that went out in the wine and cheese mailer for the dozen of those for people to make a donation. And we have a little plaque we can put on the back, but there's information on that. Those plaques will go at a later time, probably when we have all 12 done, we'll do them at once. But we have, I believe, 6 of those already committed. So, but anyway, those are really, really nice. They look nice out there. They are comfortable. Obviously, we ask people to help us make sure that they stay in that general vicinity and for all to enjoy. And let's see. So kind of interestingly, in COVID times, the Rotary Club on Thursday has been meeting via Zoom, and I'm going to be giving them a Zoom tour of the new building. So we'll see how that goes. And we are in the process of setting up an open house for any of the caterers in the area to come out and check out the Veterans Building. So hopefully by doing it in that format, we can certainly spread people out with social distancing, but they can get in and see the facility so that they're familiar with it as people start to rent the building. Other than that, and I will send a PDF of this tomorrow, but the National Recreation and Park Association recently put out a engagement with parks report. They did a whole lot of surveys around the nation of basically people's use and I guess opinions and things about parks. And no surprise, at least I'm not surprised with the couple of key statistics, and I will send you this PDF. We certainly will be using a lot of this information when we have our next levy on the ballot, but really, really good info. Because I know when we met in June, I mentioned the mobility report and how the usage of parks had just skyrocketed during COVID. It essentially confirms what we all know, but that parks is an essential service. So a couple of the key statistics, and again, I'll send you a PDF of this, is that US residents visit local park and recreation facilities more than twice a month on average. 3 in 5 US residents visited a park, trail, public open space, or other recreation facility at least once during the first 3 months of the pandemic, mid-March through mid-June 2020. 77% of survey respondents indicate that having a high quality park, playground, public open space, or recreation center nearby is an important factor in deciding where they want to live. And we have one council member on, so he might be interested in this one. 72% of US adults are more likely to vote for local political leaders who make park and recreation funding a priority. So, but I'll send that out. There's a whole big report that's very, very interesting that obviously we will use, and we see that here in Bowling Green. You know, we are no different. In fact, you know, our numbers may be higher, but it's just really, it's really a good data, and we're happy to have that organization to help us with that kind of data. And I believe that is all that I have, unless anyone has any specific questions for me.
Kristen, I realized even though I checked it off on my agenda, I didn't say, do we have any correspondence? So do we have any correspondence?
Yeah, I mean, I believe we probably do that Cheryl has, but it'd be kind of hard to share it with you. So we'll just hold on to that.
That's fine. Thank you. Okay, next item is coordinators reports. Chris and Ivan are here with us. Gentlemen, anything?
Go ahead. Ivan.
What's that?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Obviously, the summer looked a little bit different programming-wise for obvious reasons, but we actually did hold some programs both virtually and in person. From the beginning with the shutdown, we did start doing a lot of virtual fitness programs. Josh and Lindy put together videos that kind of help people keep active from home without needing too much additional equipment. So those are pretty well received. Eric and I also did some different sports and rec activities from home as well. As we transitioned into summer and a couple of the restrictions got lifted, we did end up offering some summer programming. 3 of the 4 day camps that we offered ended up going. Obviously, the restrictions were no more than 9 kids, and then myself as an instructor. So we ran 3 out of the 4, and we had between 5 to 8 kids each of the different weeks. And that was done at the community center. So a combination of spacing the kids out inside the classrooms, doing some activities in the gym, using the obstacle course and the field space behind. So those were pretty well received. We had a lot of returning people from one week to the next. We also held some obstacle course mini events. Obviously, in the past, the obstacle course has hosted 150, 200 people. Can't quite do that now. So we held events where kids could sign up, and then they and their families would kind of go through the course, and I kind of distanced them out. And we held about 2 or 3 of those with between 7 to 8 participants in each of those. So those were pretty well received, kind of got the whole family out working together, working out together a little bit. We also ran several sports skills training sessions. Eric ran a baseball one over at Eli Joyce Field. And then we did a basketball one at the community center. And then I held a couple football and soccer one-day events. Again, I'd say between like 6 to 8 kids in most of them that we offered. And then we also held several virtual events, new events, such as a virtual talent show and a virtual art show. The virtual art show is a pretty good partnership with some of the surrounding assisted living facilities and senior facilities. I came up with a different theme that the kids designed a drawing from. Parents submitted the photos to me, and then I emailed the photos to the assisted living program directors, and then their residents voted on their favorite ones, and they also got a chance to print them off and decorate their walls with them. So that way the kids can kind of see the positive impact that they were having with the people who were probably most hit by this, who really were not allowed to get out at all. So those, we ran, I think probably about 4 weeks of those. We did continue the pet show, 59 years and counting. We just ended up moving that to a virtual pet show as well, where people had a chance to submit their photos or videos of their pets, and we did our votes based on Facebook likes. So a little different of a format, but that worked out pretty well. I think we had about 55 entries into those. And then as far as the community center, attendance has been slower. Obviously, you can expect that both in the summer and with what's going on. But I think the people that are coming on a pretty steady basis, and it's growing from week to week. I think a lot of people are kind of growing in their comfort, and we're even having a lot of our pass holders tell us that they're telling all their friends that it's okay to come back, it's safe to come back. I think our staff put together a pretty good plan as far as how we distanced out the equipment, how we limit the different room sizes. Having a facility of that size allows us to utilize different spaces in different ways. For example, the spin bikes were moved from the smaller studio into one of our basketball courts. So they're spread out pretty well, and our fitness classes are taking place there. And then we also have limitations on the equipment. Every other piece of equipment is closed off with a sign, and we rotate that around. So that way, all the equipment is available throughout the week, just not necessarily all at the same time. And then I think the big thing that we do, people arrive, first thing that they have to do is wash their hands. And then everyone is given their own spray bottle of disinfectant and a towel. And it kind of puts and instructed to clean the equipment both before and after use. So it kind of puts it in their safety a little bit. It gives them a little bit more ownership of it. Our staff does clean it as well. We actually shut down a little bit early in the evening for a deep cleaning, and Josh and Lindy clean it up through the day as well. But I think there's that added bit of assurance where that the machines are being wiped down because you're the one that's doing it, both before and after. So I think that kind of helps people's comfort level a little bit. Fitness class has been attended pretty well. That was actually our first programming that returned. More recently, on September 12th, we held a movie night in City Park. This was funded in part through grants we received from the Ohio Parks and Recreation Foundation, special COVID-19 grants that they had, as well as some funding from our own Parks and Recreation Foundation. That helped the funding of an inflatable screen that's about 20 feet in diameter, a projector, and different things like that, an FM transmitter. So it actually worked out pretty well where we spaced out the benches that were out there. We also kind of spaced out the parking spaces. The additional parking lot around the building allows us to offer that type of event, which we didn't really have that option before. So that worked out nice. So, we had roughly about 45 to 50 people come, combination of 10 or 12 cars that kind of stayed in their cars, but then we also had about 4 or 5 families that kind of spread out. I think it's something that the event was originally scheduled for the end of August. We had to push it back because it was like the one of 2 days that it rained this year. Of course, when I had something scheduled, I've had that gift ever since I came on board 5 years ago where bad weather follows me. But, we still had about 45, 50 people come. And it was pretty well received. We had a lot of people drop by. I was kind of directing traffic and instructing people as they came in. So a lot of people were like pulling up, asking what we had going on and if we're going to do something like that again. So we're looking at possibilities of doing that down the road. And then also we're kind of planning the next round of programming. Eric currently has some sports programming going on. This Friday, I think I have about 6 or 7 of the 9 slots filled up for, it's kind of like a miniature day camp this Friday night over at City Park or in the new vet building. We have kind of like the room that would be our day camp room. We're going to do kind of like day camp type activities, but just kind of squeeze it into a 2-hour format. And I'm looking at doing that at least once a month for the next couple months and see how that goes. And then we also have some plans underway to hopefully provide a pretty fun action-packed week during Halloween week with a couple different activities in all of our different facilities. So information about that should be, coming out toward the beginning of the month. So something else to look forward to. So that's about it from our end. So, it'll be moving forward. It'll be a combination of in-person stuff, but, I don't want to forget about the people who aren't quite ready to be coming out yet. So we are going to continue doing some virtual programming as well as a way to reach out to them.
Ivan, did you want to mention because I think it's a great idea that we're doing this Friday ahead of your camps, and we're hoping to continue that with the kids, the Zumba Junior and the Kids Zumba, do some kids fitness classes.
Yep. If you go to our website and click on the program page, you got all of our upcoming stuff, and that is one of the programs that Eric helped put together with our Zumba instructor. So they'll be doing a kids Zumba class. I believe we still have some spots left in that. I think last time I checked, we were doing okay in that. But let me see what I got here. That program will be going from, it's $5 a participant, and we have an ages 4 to 6 group that goes from 3 to 3:45, and an ages 7 to 11 group that goes from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock. So that's coming up this Friday as well. Again, basically this situation is allowing us to explore different types of programming that either we didn't necessarily have the facility space for, or their staff time for before. And, one of our fitness instructors approached us about this a while back. So, we're going to try it as a one-day event at first. And if there's some success with it, it gives us an opportunity to branch out in another area, keep people active.
Ivan, you currently have 7 in your younger group and 5 in your older group.
Cool. And that's a max, is that one of those max of 9 classes or?
We have 10 on it.
Any questions or anything for Ivan? Mr. Guyevich?
Mrs. Anderson. So the first thing I want to say is Linda, Phil, Jody, I can see your house from here. Anyway, that's a little neighborhood joke.
You could run
Okay.
behind here and then run through Phil's
You're right.
yard and then around and then through Chris, and you'd see the same person on all.
Sorry about all the pickup trucks, by the way, that's not us. Anyway, we have a couple of things going on, but mostly I wanted to share with you, normally this time of the year, we are getting call after call from schools and from scout groups and from youth groups and from volunteer groups from the university, and we aren't. And there's obviously a good reason for that. We are getting a number of people calling for volunteering, but it tends to be, generally speaking, individuals or groups of 2. You know, maybe a couple want to come out or a couple of friends want to come out and help out either at either park, or they want to help out in the parks in general. So university right now, it's really a little difficult to get them in a larger group because we just can't have them out in a group of 20 or 30 like we have in the past, just due to social distancing. So we're kind of adapting to that right now, and going back to the educational programming. Being married to a teacher and knowing Kale and Jody, you guys are going through a lot of stuff right now. And so just getting the kids to get the basics is probably the most important thing. Obviously, we add ancillary programming and curriculum to what the teachers are doing. But again, the teachers right now, it's a tough time just getting all the kids to get their basic needs met educationally. So we understand that. We have not been doing any kind of online programming as such. I have been contacted by the library to come in and do a talk. Not come in, let me say it again a different way. I keep saying that because I think I'm with you guys right now, but I will be doing the talk probably from this very chair, but the library has asked me to talk, and they wanted to talk to me about bird feeding, and I respectfully declined. And the reason being is that, as many of you know, if you're hooked into what's going on Facebook and the BG Facebook pages, everybody and their brother is seeing a turkey right now running around town. And there's a reason for that. We provide everything that turkeys need. And I've been saying this for the past 25 years, turkeys are coming. They're here and they're all over the place, and they're seeing them in every neighborhood in town. And a lot of the reason why we're starting to see a lot of animals in town is because of people feeding animals. You know, there's just somebody just right around the corner here on Ordway, and she throws apples out in her front yard and has a salt lick out there for deer. I'm like, I don't want deer in my neighborhood, but you know, this is happening. And so people are feeling benevolent. They want to, you know, help the animals out. The animals don't need our help. And so I'm kind of shifting the way we talk about feeding the birds to more how to live with animals in our communities, because this is not going away, and it's not going to be, it's quite frankly not a Parks and Recreation issue. However, we are able to educate about it and talk to people about what they can and can't do, what they should and shouldn't do, and what they should expect. I, like anybody else, have had deer in my front yard eating cucumbers and eating, you know, things out of my garden and my hostas, and it's the same issue that everybody has. And so it's a matter of learning how to live with them. So that's kind of the direction that I and my staff are going to be going. We're not going to be offering so much of, you know, the peanut butter and the bird feeder thing and hanging it out, but actually talking to people a little bit more in depth as to how they can live with these animals in their neighborhoods, because the animals, again, aren't going away. You know, I just recently had a message from somebody who had a very large snake in their backyard, and that snake's not going anywhere, Jody. It's going to stay there. So as far as what's going on, we, again, because we are very limited in what we're able to do educationally, we are actually able to do a lot more in the way of management of non-native and invasive species. And so Cinda has been diligent about that. And we do have, like I said, a few volunteers that have been able to help. Right now, we're not doing a whole lot with trail maintenance, but the trails are doing okay at Winter Garden. The really fun news, of course, is that we added 19.5 4 acres. And so Cinda and I have been waiting for that day for a very long time. We were able to walk that property finally. So it was really kind of fun. If any of you would like to go for a walk on that property, give me a shout. I'm happy to go for a walk on that property. And we can go look and see what it is that we've just added, which is very exciting. More on the development of that property down the road. But right now it's just a matter of assessing what's there and making sure that we're prepared to deal with it, which we are. We're very excited about it. Simpson is suffering the same fate. We have fewer volunteers. There's a very small core of volunteers right now. And they're still doing their thing and still helping out. But on the flip side, we have lost Dan Parrott. He is not lost. He's around, but we've lost him as far as a staff member. And he was really a wonderful staff member and was such a big part of the development of Simpson Garden Park. He was a horticulturalist. He will not be coming back no matter what happens with COVID and no matter what happens with funding in 2021. Same thing with Mark Martin, who is also one of our on-site managers of volunteers. So we're down to Mike and 3 seasonal staff at the moment. So we're doing what we can to keep the park shaped up and looking good, but there is quite a bit of stuff that needs to be done for the fall. And so we're going to be managing that. We've received a tremendous amount of comments about how people like the park and the way things are going. So we're pleased with that. We're also very pleased, as Krista was talking about, the Adirondack chairs at City Park. The Adirondack chairs are in a constant use over at Simpson. People really, really do like them. And it does give them that opportunity to socially distance, but still be outside. People have brought their lunches. They're kind of kicking back and relaxing. So there's always somebody in those chairs, which is really great. As far as planning for the future, Mike Persecki and I have done some early budgetary discussions about what we're going to be doing for the future. We have 2 gardens that need, at least in the next 2 years, are going to need some renovations. One is the Kawashima Japanese Peace Garden. It is starting to get a bit overgrown, and so we're going to need to start doing some serious management of that. And then also the children's garden, which is also starting, the shrubs are getting so big that we're losing basically floor space. And so we're looking into something called a cognitive garden. This is something I've been talking about for quite a long time. It's actually more interactive and less, just look at it, but don't touch. This is, for years we've been telling people to get out of the fountains and get out of the waterfall. Well, in this way we're doing it is it's designed in a different way that we are encouraging kids to get into it and get wet and get their hands wet and to build dams and that sort of thing. But we can't really do that with the pump systems that we have now. So we're gonna have to redesign that whole thing and reconfigure it. But those are 2 major projects that are gonna have to take place in the next couple of years anyway. Other than that, everything else is under pretty good control right now. Mike has been out mowing like a fiend, and he is our current only staff member that's been on a mower. So, and he's doing what he can to kind of keep the place at least as shaped up as we can based on the number of staff hours that we can put toward it. Other than that, if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them for you.
Any questions for?
Okay, then.
Okay, Chris and Ivan, thank you for your reports. And as the board has told you before, thanks from this group in particular for all the work that you have done during this crazy time to keep not only keep your departments and your staff going, but also you keep providing for our citizens in a time when they really need some of this programming. So please commend your relative staffs as such. And other than that, we are on then to item 11, which is lobby visitation. So Councilman Harold is visible in the lobby.
I, believe it or not, have nothing. I do appreciate your navigating through these times and keeping the parks going. As you said, Jody, it's very important.
Thank you. Okay, I don't see anybody else in the lobby because we would be able to see them. So this is kind of unusual in this instance. if there is nothing else other than a reminder about the wine and cheese support, to go see the new sculpture and the new Adirondack chairs, and to stop out and see the gardens as they transition to fall, we would be ready for a motion to adjourn.
So move to adjourn.
I think that was Linda. She lit up. So, so moved by Linda Coverly. Second?
Second.
Okay. We'll count Cal Bowers as the second because he lit up. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oops. Okay. Meeting is adjourned until October 27th. And stay tuned for the format of that meeting. And everybody have a great night.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.